And so we have a couple things to talk about, and I'm glad to see you. I wanted to follow up one last time with the molds that we made in class, but today I'm hoping to hear from you. Last week I had suggested maybe preparing a picture or something that you might want to share from your time and space related to ceramics in some way. And so I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to do that. Does that sound good? You guys are prepared? I can only see one or two of you. So you're eventually going to have to, yeah, hey, thanks, Jonathan, thanks, Zach. You're eventually either going to have to turn on your screen or share your screen with me. And I already have that setting set up, okay? So if there's no questions, then can I show you this mold real quick? Last time when we left class, I had just used the big mold, and we remember the light fixture. And so this is the piece that came out of that mold that we made together. And it's the one I popped out in class during the last time. And what I didn't get to show you is, I said, remember I tried to pick it up and it was kind of big and it wouldn't flip out. And I said, oh my gosh, I need a board. And I walked downstairs and immediately found the board, and it popped out really quick. So I just wanted to remind you that if you have trouble getting your pieces out of your mold, I'm just going to take a board and put it on top of the mold and flip them together and set it down. And then hopefully it will come out of there. And so then the piece is left on the board, and you do not have to pick it up and bend it to try and get out, because this thing is so wide, it would be hard to kind of like pick up around the edge. And then I can flip it back over in my hand, get the board off, and then set it here and let it rest for a little while. And then I'm going to trim up the edge. So you can see from the first one that I tried to get sort of the rim, it's scalloped. And so that's revealed in the mold. And so I'll trim that with a knife. So I won't take too much time to do that, but I wanted to show you what it was like to flip it on a board, because that can be really helpful. And then we also had the triangle mold, which this was the first time that I got to try this one. So I'm hoping it will be fine, but I'm pretty excited about the triangle. Yeah, it has nice surfaces. So, you know, that's going to be good for decoration. It's just nice, big open canvases for decoration. So I'm excited about that thing. So that's my show and tell. See, this is what you're going to do. Just give yourself a minute to like tell me what you're thinking. Help bring some closure to the class. It's been exciting to work with you guys. And so my show and tell, you know, I've been working on the big bottles, right? This was thanks to you guys. Thank you. This one has the plum blossoms on it. Yeah, I made a bunch of these, and I started making some mugs. Yay, wheel. So come back to class in the fall and take hand building, and let's throw some pots together. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So thanks, you guys. What I want to do is go around and hear from you. Are you ready? I hope so. So we can start. I'm going to start up in the upper left-hand corner of what looks like my screen. And I don't know that you guys are in the same order, but I'm just going to call on you maybe one at a time. And so the first few people are like Zach, Jonathan, Yushin, and Blythe. Those are the four in my top row. So if you guys want to get ready, you'll be the first up. Hey, Zach, do you want to start us off?
So to be super honest, I have to do a little bit of prep on this real quick. I'm doing it as we speak, but if you give me another 5 minutes, someone else could go.
Okay. Skip over to Jonathan, because you're in your home studio, so I know you can tell us a little bit about how you're doing.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I have a wheel and a whole setup in my house, as Martha graciously allowed me to bring. I've been working on stuff throughout the semester. I think I've kind of been focusing on like quality over quantity, especially since I have like a plaster and reclaim setup. I can just reclaim and redo like the very next day, which is awesome. And it's really nice to throw in the house. Here's some with the drape molds. I ended up attaching them onto a wooden board so I could put them back onto the wheel to finish the outer surface, which is really nice. And made these sets of plates, which I'm really interested in. A nice flat surface, good for decoration as well. Here's some of the tile molds. Made a lot of sets of bowls, really trying to focus on like a really fluid, even curve on the bottom, on the inside, which I was really happy that I finally figured out how to achieve without the outside warping too much. See, I made a lot of these sets of, I call them like lantern shapes. These are like lantern bowls with a cute little foot on the bottom. I think it's like my favorite shape to throw right now. And then I've been making a lot of these little planter forms with a foot on the bottom to catch water in a hole so it can drain out. So you don't have to put a plate under it. And I guess last thing, I've been trying to throw with red clay a lot of like larger forms, anywhere from like 12 to 20 pounds. And I've probably tried like 10 times now and haven't kept any of them except for this small dude. Because I want to make like a larger shouldered vessel. But as soon as I start blowing out the top, it wobbles and collapses. So still working on that, but it's a fun process.
How many pounds is that one?
This one was like 2.5. Just as like a practice. Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Yeah, that's what my
well,
ceramics have been
great.
like.
Yeah, everybody else is like super jealous. They all want your
Like
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, super jealous. Yeah.
I made this little
Excellent.
mortar
What kind?
I actually wanted to ask you about this. If you think that a ceramic on ceramic mortar and pestle would work out well, or if the ceramic would just grind on each other and break down.
You know, I have to be honest, I haven't used one, so I'm not going to comment from personal experience. I think that it's unlikely that if they're fired to temperature that they'll like really grind that much on each other, and you would see it if it did. But I don't think so. And my instinct says no, but I've never tried it. Yeah. I think it's better to have clay on clay instead of like, I wouldn't switch to like a wooden mortar or pestle because that is something that would grind away on the ceramic part after a while. It would act like sandpaper. Yeah. Awesome. Are you graduating, John?
I have one more semester.
Oh, excellent. So will you be back in the fall? Will we see you
yeah.
in the fall?
Although
Okay.
I think I only have one singular class left, so I might not take a full credit hour and just take a singular class. But if I can like figure out a way to take other classes and work on ceramics as well, I definitely will.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Doing great. Yeah, we'll talk. So I think that after June 10th, people can like come get their stuff from studio, right? Did you all get messages like that as students that June 10th to June 20th, that they're going to open up possibly the space again for people to get stuff? That might be the time to do some ceramic swapping if anybody has pots at home or wants to get pots from the studio. We should talk about those 10 days for sure. Okay, great. Let's go on. Thanks, John. I think it's Yu Shin. Do you have anything you want to share with us?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
You can share your screen if you want to.
Yeah. So on the left is a bowl that I got from MP Bowls. It was when I was a freshman at Virginia Tech, and it was like a super exciting experience for me to like seeing all of the pots that everybody made, and it was just a really unique experience. And this bowl is like just one of my favorites at the house, and I use it quite a lot. So that's been one of my earliest pottery inspiration. That's what really got me into pottery, and I've always wanted to throw something on the wheel, and maybe that's something I could try, next semester or 5th year. And then on the right is the Instagram account that I've been following for a long time as well, and they post a lot of. It's actually a photography page, but they photograph a lot of different like unique like bowls and just vessels for carrying food, and I found them really interesting, and I'm just really excited by all the different like forms of these different pots. So that's it for me.
That's great. Awesome. I'm so glad that you enjoyed empty bowls and that bowl has made it into your daily life. That's awesome. And it's great. Instagram is a great place to find inspiration for ceramics. Just even a simple follow of the hashtag of ceramics or wheels run ceramics, any of those will get you daily inspiration for work. So I'm so glad that you found somebody that you're interested in.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that you were in the class. Hey, Blythe, I think you were up next. Do you have anything that you want to share today?
Hi. Can you see?
Hi. Yeah, Alina Hayes.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
So yeah, I came across this artist on Instagram, I think when we were doing a lot of the tile exploration and trying to guess how things were assembled. And I just love how playful her work is. And she makes a lot of traditional ceramics, but the little blurb at the bottom explains that she just started making these shapes out of things that were otherwise considered failures when she was working on the wheel. And I also really like how she is combining non-traditional technologies. So the shinier ones on the top and then that guy on the bottom, I think are glazed, but then coated in rubber. And then I included the one on the bottom left. I think the form is a little bit creepy, but it's a good example of some of the decal work that we've been looking at the past few class sessions. So yeah, I just thought they were super fun, and I like that her goals for the work are just really straightforward, just that they're supposed to be playful and you're supposed to want to pick them up.
Yeah, I want to touch them all.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, they look, this is so fascinating to me because they look so soft, don't they? Don't they look like they should be squishies or something? And so I think that's interesting. And then there's definitely, yeah, some non-traditional surfacing going on to achieve some of those finishes, it seems like, for sure. Great. Well, thank you for sharing. Super playful. Yeah, I like that a lot. Thanks. All right.
I'm ready to go if you want to do that real quick.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, let me, we'll go with Zach, and then maybe the next couple people who could get ready are Victoria, Sarah, Piccoli, and Lucy, if that works. Let's start with Zach.
Okay. So because I mostly work in 3D printed molds and then doing slip casting, I was able to kind of do some concept models that I could translate into actual things later on because I'm stuck at home and don't have access to any actual building things. So these are some ideas I had. The first one just being a vase, and I thought it was fun. I took it into Mesh Mixer and then just took out a bunch of polygons, and it made that kind of fun geometric thing that I enjoy. Got the deco pot, which is basically just I extruded stuff, and then I automatically included a draft angle there, which is important when you're doing the slip casting. So thought that kind of made an interesting effect. That was also part of the way that it ends up being manufactured. And then the other one's just a fun form I made. That is all.
Excellent. Well, some of those, you might consider trying to build some of those out of like, especially the deco pot, out of some like heavy duty chipboard, cover it with some packing tape and cast it in plaster of Paris and have it ready to go for when you come back to Blacksburg.
That's true. I could try to do that.
Yeah, that one definitely, I think you could construct in pieces with materials that you could, maybe some board that you could get at the hardware store still deemed essential.
Cool.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for doing some rendering. I think that will go, you have quite a large portfolio of ceramics, so I hope to see you continue to put it together into a single story that you feel good about going to a job interview and sharing.
Yeah, that actually was an excerpt from my portfolio. I just had to edit it down so it didn't have all the extra stuff on it.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right, Victoria, are you ready?
Yeah. So there are some pieces that I'm working on that I can't quite get right that I have wrapped in plastic because I want them to stay at the same moisture content, but I'm trying to do what you suggested with my like drape mold and stuff, and how you had kind of like put strips on it and added pieces together. And I just thought that was really interesting. And it actually taught me a lot about the stuff I've been working on studio. So let's see if I can, I have this image that I put together. And so like the top part is my work from studio last semester, and the bottom part is my work in studio right now. And I just want to say that ceramics has taught me a lot about the quality of a connection and how important that is, because I've been working on these put together pieces for a week or two and they keep drying and separating from each other. And so it's just kind of taught me that the connection is one of the most important parts of building, I think.
Yeah. That's so great. I really like seeing the detailed drawings of what you're thinking about in your architecture, the woven pattern as well. So I'm so glad that you're thinking about that intersections in a new way. That's really lovely. Yeah. So when you do string those clay pieces together, it can be pretty intense. Definitely drying them really, really slowly and actually getting it off the mold as soon as possible so that the strips have space to actually shrink too. So if you leave it on the mold too long, then the mold will actually interfere with it resizing itself as it dries. So just be careful about that part.
Okay.
Yeah, great. I'm so glad that you were in the class this semester, and I think, this summer or definitely in the fall, we can get all the work that you started this semester glazed.
Yeah, definitely. I would love that.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing. Let's see, who was next? Sarah, I think.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
When she unshares, I can.
Yeah.
How do I get rid of it?
At the top.
Which button?
Should just.
It should maybe like it's a red button that says stop share.
Aha. There we go.
There we go. All right, so it's Sarah, and then Lucy's next, and then Savannah and Will. If you guys want to get ready after them, that'll be our order. Okay. All right, Sarah, what you got?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, your tiles.
Yeah, I just have a bunch of pictures from the work that I was able to make in the beginning part of the semester. So again, these are my tiles, and they're not entirely cleaned up, but I actually enjoyed seeing like the different colors because I thought that was pretty.
Yeah.
And then
the different states of clay.
Then we have my mold, and this one I actually poured twice. This one didn't work out because the plaster stuck to the fabric too much. So when I tried to peel apart the fabric, it just completely snapped in half. So then when I did it with another fabric, I was able to get more defined creases and folds, and I was worried that it was too shallow, but then when I actually casted it, oh, this is the bottom. It turned out completely fine, and then I realized that it's not just the negative, it's around it. So I was able to actually get a nice depth to it. And then as well, when I splayed out the edges, I was actually able to get like a pretty substantial pot from that.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. That is lovely. I really like the way that you have kind of dealt with the edge. It's probably still just it looks a little bit sharp, but I think maybe it's just the angle of your photograph. But I'm so interested in the way that you have developed this piece. It is really nice. Really nice texture on the inside and an interesting contrast. Like I think as smooth and as sort of stone-like as you can get that top surface, even more contrast of all of those like crinkles and sort of the intrigue of what that impression is inside of that space. Yeah. Great. Thanks, Sarah. Is there, it was that one, that was it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Savannah is asking if anybody else is having audio trouble. I'm not sure. I'm hearing okay today. If you have audio trouble, I always recommend, I'm calling in on my cell phone because then that way it doesn't rely on my internet service. All right, Lucy, I think. Are you ready?
Hello, yes,
And then,
I'm ready.
Hi. You can share a screen or,
So I'm in the architecture program, so I decided to show some pictures that show ceramics related architecturally. Oh no.
okay. Oops, did we lose her? I think she's gone. I don't even see her on my list. We're gonna have to wait for her to log back on, I think. Let's go to Savannah. Do you have anything that you want to share? Oh, she wants us to let her know during the chat. I can't reach my keyboard yet, but I will. Hey, Will, you're the next one up while we get Savannah on track.
Hang on,
So
so
Will,
my audio came in right then, so I'm gonna try and share while I have a connection.
Okay, great.
Okay, can everyone see that? Is it coming through?
It's coming through. Ooh,
Okay.
Pretty.
So I was really interested in the transfer, like decal things, and I was looking at different patterns and how different materials could be used to create all these different patterns and different colors. And I really found these tissue paper ones interesting because since it's such a thin and flexible material, you could put it into such tight crevices to create a really broad range of just like pattern all the way through a piece that maybe has a lot of funky curves to it that you wouldn't think you could put like a stencil against. And I just found it really interesting, just the range of how tightly you could get a pattern to go or how loose and random it could be.
Those are great. So those are decal sheets that you can order?
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty. Can you think of a way in which you might use them?
I really like flower vases, pictures and different things. So getting those papers to like wrap around like a handle or like the foot of like a vase to get such a small area to have a detail on it that you may not be able to do by hand, I thought would be really cool.
Okay. Excellent. And Savannah, remind me, what year are you this year?
I'm graduating.
Oh, I hope that you find a place to make pots sometime. And if you need to work out getting your pots finished at school this summer after June 10th, you let me know.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Lucy, do you want to hop back in? I see you
Yes.
down there.
Sorry about
Okay.
that. My
That's
laptop
okay. I get it.
died. Didn't even give me a warning. Just died.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, I wanted to show some buildings. This one,
Okay.
for example, in Portugal, uses a ceramic cladding. And if this cladding were to be made by hand, it looks like what we were doing with the drape molds. And I think it looks very cool. I love the shadows that
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. And I don't think this interior is the same building, but this is Kengokuma. I think it looks really cool. And another
Nice.
example is another cladding, and this is basically what we were doing with our tiles. It's just like a tessellation of squares. And I remember when we were doing our tiles, trying to consider lining up all of the corners and lines and stuff. But here it looks like they intentionally staggered and offset the corner heights so that you get this extra layer of shadows. I think it looks really cool. Yeah.
Yes, that is gorgeous.
Glazed terracotta, I'm pretty sure, building in Florida. But, yeah.
Those are spectacular. Thank you so much for sharing those. If you happen to remember the names or the cities that they're in, if you could drop it in the chat, that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. All right. So let's see, I think I asked Will to be up next, and then that would be, after that, let's go with Daniela and Ding Shan, and then Karen. That'll be our next four. So Will, are you out there? Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready. So I don't have too much, but I was just kind of interested in looking into just some other artists that I found. And actually, I can't find the page now. Oh, here it is. So I just found this account on Instagram, and I really like these, the different mugs and like cups that they've made, also the bowls. It really sticks out to me how just the really simple geometric shapes and the color combinations. I don't know, I just really like it, and it's something that I would really be interested in to try to make just because of how clean they look almost.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
again,
that is a really nice with it. Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. It's a lot to look at, actually. There's quite a lot there. So I think the things that I think the clay body there is a beautiful color. Don't you all think that rich red is so special? And then the clean line against the white or any of those stark colors, the geometry. So a lot of that's happening with masking. So you're getting those really clean lines, either by like masking stickers, like the way that Stacy was using, or wax. So really lovely. Yeah, you guys aren't going to be able to go to a. Yeah, you guys aren't going to be able to go to art show ever again and look at pots in the same way. I guarantee it.
All right. Well, if anyone's interested in looking that up, it's like Wolf Ceramics, so really easy to find on Instagram.
Okay, great. Maybe you could also drop that in the chat. Just drop that website over there in the chat, and then that way people can find it if they want to. Thanks,
yeah,
Will.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
How about Daniela?
Sure.
And then after that will be Bingshen and Karen, and then Matthew.
Can you see it? Can you see it? Great.
Oh, great.
So I'm interested in the implementation of ceramics in architectural facades and screens. So I also had like some different examples that I thought were interesting of not only showing like the ceramic itself and like the interesting design it has, but also like the way that through the combination of the object and like the assembly that it's in, it can generate really like interesting forms in larger scale patterns. I thought it was like really interesting to learn like the different ways that ceramics are actually made and how those influence the way that you can have an assembly put together, and how the process and the way that you actually make the ceramic influences the final product. I thought that was like really interesting. So yeah, like at the top you can see like a little snippet of my thesis, which is actually starting to introduce terracotta tile as a way of creating interesting facade systems inside. Yeah.
Excellent. So is the middle picture in that top row that says thesis above it, is that like a drawing or a render of your work for this year?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, so
great. Yeah.
I'm looking into like detailing and things, but a lot of like the interest that came about of that idea was actually because of the class, and I like started to see like the very interesting potentials that ceramics have, and also like architectural projects.
Yeah. Great examples. I think maybe that that building on the bottom is the one that we just saw.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's the same one? Yeah. So we talk about these ceramic screens sometimes when I come to Paula's materials class and Jonas's materials and processes. It's fabulous. You think about ceramics being this, historical material and bricks, but what they're doing with these architectural facades is fantastic and really fresh. It should remind us that there's always something new to discover and form. So thanks for sharing that. That's really nice. Good luck with your thesis.
Thank you. Thank you for the class. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Before you go, just a quick question. Did you have like a particular ceramics like manufacturer that you were thinking about for those ones, or were you gonna like try and do them all yourself? Because I just know a lot of those buildings were from the same ceramics manufacturer. And I was wondering if you did research on them in particular, or
I've been looking into it a little bit, but I also like wanted to understand like the full process of it. So I was like really interested in just kind of like starting to like design my own and like work on it like from the very start of the process all the way to like the way that it looks within the architecture.
Okay.
Excellent. Thanks for the question, Sarah. Good luck, Daniela. All right, Bing-Shen, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. So wait a minute. I will share my screen. Can you see it?
It's coming through. Yep.
Yeah, the pictures includes my works and my teapots I'm using right now. And at the left part is my works that I made months ago. You can see one is broken, so I did another one at the right corner. This I did that on Monday, so they are still wet when I take the picture. I found when I press the tiles, I found it's kind of hard for me to make it very in a very good shape. So I try and use some methods to polish it. And you can see one of the tile at the picture of tiles right lower corner is very smaller than other one, because I tried a method of using sandpaper and water to polish that, but it's kind of dissolved in the water, so a very huge piece is removed from my tiles, and it's become smaller. And the other part, I just use sandpaper. It's pretty good, I think. And I found my pot design, clay pot design is pretty interesting. Which is on the right corner. They can when you don't use them, they can become the whole thing combined together. And when you want to use them, they can become a pot and a cup. And when you're drinking the tea, you can pour the hot water and your tea leaves into the cup, and then you pour the tea into the cup. Yeah, it's pretty good and interesting thing I discovered. And my teacup here is made by the purple clay, and it's super interesting when I learn the class of the I Ching, because I know how my teacup born. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I would love to have you in class again sometime, and we can continue to work on your techniques. I think that, yeah, water and, sponges and sandpaper definitely take away that material. So there's two things that can happen. You may find that the detail in your original mold could be something that you would evaluate in the future. And then together, we could talk about different techniques of working with the sponge or scraping down to get to the same size tile. So if you fundamentally know that you're going to lose dimensionality by cleaning it up, as long as you always go down to the same dimension, it's fine. Like it's worth it to clean them up and have them look nice. But thanks for sharing your teapot and your cup from I Ching. Yeah. Yeah, super nice. All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Let's see, I think, did we have Karen next? And then it'll be Matthew. And so let's get the next couple people ready. That would be Matthew, Mackenzie, Anna, and Bobby. Like maybe we could do, those would be the next 4 after Karen. So go for it.
Okay. Hopefully you can see this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, lately I've been kind of exploring parallels between ceramics and fiber work because I do a lot of fiber work, specifically knitting. And I think it's incredible how similar ceramics is to fiber work from both being an additive process and a lot of times a rotational process. So on the left are some of my favorite ceramic artists. And I really appreciate how they look like knitted work to me. The top image is actually ceramics and fiber. And the bottom are coil pots, supposed to mimic 3D printed pots, but they're actually made by hand. So I think those are really incredible. And then in the center is some of my work, some white work. I love to use natural fiber, undyed fiber. And I've been doing that for 2 or 3 years. And on the right, I finally have been able to introduce color to my work. I haven't done that lately. So being in quarantine and being alone, I've been able to make my own dyes. So I've started making dyes and dyeing fiber, and then hopefully I can make some vessels out of it.
Yeah, beautiful colors. Really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we can't find you more places to dig up natural materials for that. I would definitely think about, how you could incorporate those two materials together. There's somewhere out there a pot needs to be wrapped. I feel sure of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Really lovely. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, I can't wait to keep working with you in the future. I hope you consider an independent study or something.
Yeah, me too.
All right, great. Matthew, how about you? Are you ready? Yep. Oh, and Karen, I think they want your classmates want to know who that coil artist is. So if you could drop that over in the chat sometime, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, Matthew, then Mackenzie and Anna.
All right. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm. Sure can.
Cool. So
porcelain.
Yep. So after we visited the studio at RDF, I got really curious about working with porcelain. What originally attracted me to it is this sort of very stark white color of it. And I really enjoyed these two pieces in particular, just how intricate they were able to work with the clay itself. I found that really fascinating. And so I was researching a bit into different types of porcelain, and I found one in particular that I found really interesting was called bone china, which is sort of the, like, I guess the more traditional within historical context type of porcelain. And it actually uses like bone ash mixed in with the clay. It's like some are as much as like 50% bone ash, and like yeah, I just thought that was really interesting to use an organic material like bone in a ceramic. And so again, since bone china is a little bit more traditional, I wanted to see if people are still sort of using it as like for a modern purpose. So these two sets of teacups I thought were really a really modern and fresh way of designing and working with that bone ceramic. Just with these very, very stark lines that I think really nicely complement the very thin section of typically what you see in porcelain. Another quality I found really inspiring for me personally as an architect was this sort of translucent quality that a lot of porcelain has. And this is one example used as a wall tile, and you just stick like an electric light behind it, and it illuminates the tile from behind. I thought that was a really nice effect. And then as well, using sort of shattered plates of aluminum, or sorry, shattered plates of porcelain, and then molding it together with this sort of black mortar. I think it creates this really interesting, almost marble-like effect, but it still has a very almost, it has its own sort of characteristic just because of how sharp that contrast is between the black and the white. I found that really interesting. Yep. So that's what I have.
Great, thank you. I'm so glad that you got inspired by going out to RDF. That project is still ongoing if anybody is around. Really nice investigation of material. I hope that you find it inspirational and a surface that's appropriate for architecture in some way. Yeah, really lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Mackenzie, and then Anna and Bobby will be up next.
Hi.
Hi.
So I did this project earlier in the year, and it has this kind of fluid wall that's actually ceramic, but I did this fun kind of pop graphic. So I was inspired by that to just make some, like a fun graphic of some different drape molds and then tiles and yeah. So here's that. Just kind of make it funky, inspired by kind of like 60s dishware.
So is the top row like profiles? Is
Yeah.
I shouldn't ask if that's what they are. I read the top row as profiles to vessels, right?
Yes.
The middle row is tiles, and then that bottom row, almost like a plan view of a drape mold?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, yay, your imagery communicates what you're looking for. Great, you know, fun, really fun graphic, really interesting use of color, really expressive. I hope it was as joyful to make this as it is to view it, for sure. Yeah, super fun. I hope you consider making pots again in the future. Thank you so much for sharing and for putting this together. I'm so glad that you were in the class. All right. Anna is next, and then we have Bobby, and then after that, let's go with Morgan and Kaylee.
Okay.
So Anna and then Bobby.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay. Okay. So I have just like these two pictures of sort of like the physical work that I've done this semester. So on the right are the like 9 tiles we did with the additive, subtractive, and sort of like the sculpture slash modifying techniques. And then on the left, we have my press mold and 16 tiles. Not pictured are like 5 tiles that broke. And then I have my drape mold and sort of like my first try with the drape mold. And I guess just like reflecting on like this past semester, like I've never really worked with ceramics or clay or whatever outside of like the elementary school level. So this was like a very sort of nice place to start. I've learned like a lot about not only it's like the design is important, but also the technique. And there's many different ways to get to one sort of end or result. And just sort of like building those multiple skills and sort of finding what works best in different situations, as well as what works best for you. I definitely like want to continue working with, you know, press molds, drape molds, eventually slip casting too, but just like starting off with actually just like trying and like building with clay was just like really nice and refreshing. And yeah, I guess like that's just sort of like my takeaway or reflection. Like I just really enjoyed making and creating. So yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Anna. I'm so glad to see your work like this together. I remember talking to you about those tiles for sure. It's so nice to see them all together. So you hold on to all your work and we'll check out what's going on in the studio this summer and we can get these, you know, fired and glazed for you. And I hope that you'll take one of my classes again in the future.
Yep.
I always teach hand building in the fall. And of course, there's always empty bowls or an independent study after you've been in one of my classes. I'll take you as an independent study student.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bobby, and then Morgan and Kaylee and Sue Yi. Sue Yu will be up after that. So, hey, Bobby, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good. Let me see if I can share my screen really quick. I'm actually doing this on my phone, so this should be interesting. Let's see. Oh gosh. Is it doing anything? Can you see my screen?
Nope, we can't. What are you trying to share?
So I'm just trying to share the Japanese sushi set that I made this semester using the drape mold. I cleaned that up and I have the I guess I'll just talk about can the chat drop a photo in? Does it allow that?
I think you can add a file to the chat. So you're welcome to do that after you finish chatting.
Okay. Yeah, I can just talk about it. I do have a bowl here with me too that I can talk about. But yeah, so this semester I was really focusing on creating items for my apartment since I'm going to be graduating and moving in with my boyfriend. I was really trying to, you know, avoid buying all this expensive stuff and seeing what I could make with my hands and, you know, getting some kind of, you know, meditative process in while I do that. So this semester, you know, I made the sushi set, I made chopstick holders. I even had these little kind of, I need to drop some pictures in, but they're like these little pit-like things and they'd hold either salt or pepper or sugar, and then you could just grab a little pinch and like put it in a pot if you were cooking. So stuff like that, just like kitchenware. was kind of what I was focusing on this semester. But going forward, I definitely want to continue ceramics. And something that really interests me was pots like this, where it has different sort of, like, this isn't a glaze, this is different clays that are
Yeah.
and I love that. I have no idea how it's made, but this was from empty bowls, actually. So yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, it's a couple different kinds of clay that have been wedged together, and it swirls even more when you throw on the wheel. And then the surface looks kind of mucky when you start, but then when you trim down through it, all of those layers are still really, really defined inside of that. So
yeah.
Great. I'm glad you're in the class. I hope you find a way to continue for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right. I think Morgan was up next. Kaylee, Sue, and then Gloria after that.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Is it working?
Yeah, it's starting to come through.
So I guess I'll start with these first. I was looking at kind of contrast in ceramics. My favorite type of like pots or bowls are kind of like when they mix two mediums or maybe two opposites. So like right here, like this vase is my favorite. But I just like gathered some that kind of have the same idea, even though they're all really different, and sort of playing with different ways of glazing and different ways of finishing it. And then I have, this is like my favorite artist on Instagram. And so she kind of does the same. She's based in London. But all of her stuff is really minimal, and I really like the colors and just sort of like what she creates with it. But it's kind of playing with like some contrast in colors. And then like here is like contrast in glazing too. And so I kind of like found that to be something that wasn't necessarily like present in my work as much as I wanted it to be. I mostly did things with like, let's see, I think of my tiles somewhere, if it loads. Here. These are like this was like the first pass, but it was just something that like I kind of do really minimal like work with tiles. So that's just kind of something that I found that I was doing that I really like in other people's work. So, yeah.
Great. Remind me what year you are.
So I'm a 4th year right now in architecture, so I still have one more after this. So.
Okay, great. So when you get back to school and we can glaze any pots that you made this semester, if you want to make 1 or 2 more, we should talk about how you can achieve this contrast with the glazes that we have. There's a couple different ways, especially when you like look at those like the matte to glossy. That's something that we could probably achieve, and then definitely in color. So some of those are coming from the color of their clay, and some of them are kind of the way they treated the surface or the glazes. So maybe at the beginning of next semester, if it doesn't work out this summer, we can kind of take a look at your work together and see what our glazes can do for you.
Yay, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, we really, missed an opportunity to kind of bring closure to some of the pots by not being able to glaze. So it's something you should look forward to in the future.
Yeah, I've been making some stuff here, but it's not, I ordered it from Amazon, and it's just like clay you can play with rather than just like clay that you can actually glaze and fire. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully see you in the fall. Yeah.
So
I think it was Suyu after that, or Kaylee. Oh, sorry, Kaylee. Hi. Go for it.
I just wanted to share one image of these stacked up bowls that sort of served as an inspiration image for my drape mold, which I guess I could stop sharing. So this was my drape mold that I made using a foam ring and a t-shirt. And then this was the like very flat bowl, like pasta bowl that I ended up making with it. That turned out pretty nice. Hopefully, I want to try and get a thinner section with it. But and the rim is not even, so I have to take a Sureform to it and kind of flatten it out. But other than that, it turned out pretty similar to how I wanted it to.
Great. I hope that you can keep making them. It looks good. I think you did a good job achieving your intention. So I think you'll enjoy that set when you can have them all together. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, so Suyu, I think you're up, and then Gloria, Ziyi, and Sarah, maybe you guys could go next.
So I would
All right, go for it.
like starting off by showing you guys the two pieces that I made. So this one, you can see it has like really subtle kind of like changes on the bottom. And then this one is out of like a simple drape mold. I make them like not into a really kind of like a straight line, just let them to roll on the top of the table and then kind of like having a free kind of like edges to it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I will start to share screens. This company is called the Miro Made This, and it's a woman architect first off, but then she kind of like transferred into the ceramics work as a professional because she cannot find like a proper tableware that she liked. So she kind of like make the tableware by herself. And I really love the way that she did the way like the forms and the styles of the work she did. And you can see they are like these vessels can stack on top of each other that you can like make them combine into like several pieces together. It's like a set you can choose, like you can work with it. Yeah.
Lovely. So in the future, as you guys think about what it means to make a set, you know, when you look at the work that we just saw, think about, even though there are some, you know, differences in, you know, like clay bodies or colors, the way that maybe the edges are similar, the rims are similar, maybe what, like the amount of raw clay, the proportion of raw clay to what's glazed, the clarity of line, you know, the quality of the surface, the degree of matte related to like glossy on the interiors. Those are really interesting things that sort of define a set that have a variety of pieces and colors in them. So thanks for sharing. I don't know if you see over in the chat that your classmates would really love to know the name and maybe the website of the architect that you shared. That would be great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Gloria, Ziyi, Sarah, and Evan. And then I think that might be everybody. So, okay, the way of tea.
Hello, testing.
Hey, we can hear you now. If you were on mute, I can hear you now.
Okay, regarding with our previous lecture with Jagadish, I was very inspired with the way of tea. I feel like there are so many ways, and there are different equipment that are required, hand thrown and handmade ceramics that represent the way of tea, the way of life in Japan, and I think that was very beautiful. So I think I recently, I started a passion with matcha because I really like the health benefits of the powdered tea as well as the ceremony itself. They are the tea. I recently got the tea whisk at Eats in Blacksburg. It's handmade, and I really want to find the tea whisk holder, which is diagrammed here and as well as shown here. Those are handmade as well, normally and traditionally. And the tea bowl, I think that's the highlight of the ceremony, as well as what it represents as the tea drinker and the relationship with the tea and the tea maker and the tea drinker. So these are three examples I found that are really beautiful. These are named after grandmasters, tea masters, or yeah, they're designed in such dramatic ways. The first one is decorative raised features that represent like kind of an earth terracotta kind of feel. The second one has a Japanese iconography of the mountains, and the third one is very, what's it called? It represents movement, drama, and delicacy of nature. And I think there's so many different ways of how to represent the relationship of one and tea. So I think furthering, I really want to find, or most importantly, make one of these pieces myself, find my own style and what it means to me and represent that in the bowl. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm so glad that you were interested in one of the lectures, that you looked a little bit further into it. Gloria, remind me what year you are.
I'm a graduating 5th year in architecture.
I hope you find a ceramic studio to make that tea whisk holder. That would have been a really good project for a two-part slip cast mold. That'd be a perfect little vessel. So hold on to that, and that will happen for you. I feel sure of it. So enjoy your tea. I hope every day you have it, you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Hello?
All right. DU, are you ready?
Yeah, let me share my screen real quick. Sorry, I had one same image with Lucy. The image I found is of a few architectural facade that contains ceramic elements. This is a Korean in Lisbon, and let's see. And this, can you see the next image?
It'll take just a second for it to catch up, but I'm sure I will here. Yep, got it.
All right, and this one is a Jewish community center in Germany, and the last one is an architectural school in Spain. So what's impressed me about this class is that in terms of ceramic, how is an expression of ceramic that speaks for architecture of its function. I think ceramic has so much potential to study and practice in architecture as an element. It's pretty interesting that ceramic could present shadow with light, soft with hard, and solid with empty. Also, it could represent the architectural ideas and the other aesthetic appeal, which would be really helpful for me to study architecture.
Yeah, lovely. I'm so interested that you guys have been brought to similar places with looking at what ceramics can be for architecture. It's a beautiful facade, isn't it? I think that one thing I would hope for you is that you all have a sensitivity to the material. So as you choose to use it in architectural spaces, I wonder now if you'll understand more about the way in which it's made, certainly the section of it, because all of these architectural installations require some connection between ceramics and the building itself, whether or not it's traditional like grout, or whether or not we saw with the ceramic panels, they're extrusions with holes in them, or they're on a cable system, or they're in compression, or they're stacked. I hope that you go forward with some kind of sensibility of what the material is like, the effort to go to make it, its longevity, and then, you know, its capacity to live in another environment, whether or not it's strong enough, sturdy enough, shaped properly, all of those things. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Glad you were in the class.
Good.
Okay, we're getting close to the end. Was it Sarah next? Sarah, and then maybe Evan, I think.
I can definitely go next. Let me.
Okay. Oh, and Sylvia, did we get you? I think those are maybe that three. All right, we're getting close. We're gonna almost end on time. I hope that's okay.
Oh, sorry, it's just saying that I need to grant Zoom access before I'm allowed to share my screen, which is kind of annoying. Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, it's saying, sorry, can I go right after this guy? It's just saying that because my system preferences, like privacy thing, won't let it, I have to just reopen the meeting. So if I just, I'm
Okay,
gonna have to
no
close it
problem.
and then I'll just join.
Okay, so we'll start with Evan and then Sylvia.
Okay, so I'm gonna get that screen sharing. Okay, so I'm gonna take you through the journey. This is, Martha, you've seen some of this. This is more like the independent study, but I wanted to share it with the class. So this
Okay.
is, these are a few of the tiles that I made. I made more, but they're not with me. So this is the only picture I took. Okay. So I had clay, but I got really interested in using computer programs to create different shapes. So these are a few of the earlier explorations that I did. So after that, I looked at a bunch of indigenous patterns, and I was really interested in taking patterns and putting them on the surfaces. So I started doing these pixelations and essentially putting them on this one form to explore the different, like just explore pattern making. And this is actually like related to the tiles that we did, because these are just one square that I orient in different ways. So I've played with different colors. So I'm changing this, having the white and the black, working on that contrast, and then keeping the black, and then changing the actual color of the pattern itself. So I'm just going to go through these. These are all from images that I took actually for the pattern making. And so this is looking at different sizes that you can make the patterns and how it affects the overall look of it. So you can now see like very clearly I changed the orientation and you get a completely different form. You get this line that follows the form with these different shapes. So then I started to go into actually just drawing them out and trying to figure out what I could create without actually having to take a picture. So these last are a few of the patterns that I created. And so I took these patterns, and I was really interested by the teapots that we were learning about from China. So I designed some teapots, and I used the patterns to kind of decorate. So this is the last slide. I did some shape exploration, looking into, I don't know, what I could continue to do. So that is what I've been working on.
All right, excellent. Well, super fun. I'm so glad that you were able to kind of find a place to be expressive in the computer in these weird times. So I really like what you've been doing with the pattern making. So now what's fascinating about that is that you make that pattern, it's standardized, and then as you wrap it, it is sizing it and scaling it to wrap that pot precisely. Now what we need is to take that wrapped pattern and turn it into a flat pattern. So you know how to scale the pieces to actually wrap that. Wrapping those round spherical pots is really hard. Yeah, you have to be really thoughtful about how you wrap patterns around objects that have, curvature in multiple directions. But thanks, Evan. Yeah, that was super fun. I'm glad you found some place to be expressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Sylvia, have we talked to you? I think you're still on my list.
Yeah, I'm not talked to. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna share my screen.
Yep.
Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, so my observation about teacups, these are from my father, and you can see how interesting the clay are different. The glaze are different on each of them, and this one is really interesting because the cracks over the pot, over the cup is made by firing process. They made the cracks properly, and create these cracks, which is really interesting, but you cannot really feel it when you touch it. Another thing is that how different the pot, the teapot can be with handmade. These are all handmade teapots, and you can see how different this the shapes and the forms are different from the cap to the body and to the handrail and such things like that. And I think if I can go back to the pottery studio, I might be interested in investigating the teapot shapes and try to make them out by myself. And I think, yeah.
So are these family pots? Are these pots, did you have someone take a picture of these?
Yeah, my father took this for me. They are all from my home.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh my gosh, how lovely. Isn't this just a wonderful set of shapes? Thank you so much for sharing and taking the care to put this together. What year are you? Remind me what year you are.
I'm a sophomore architecture.
Okay, great. So you have plenty of time to take pottery classes.
Yeah.
I hope that you will come back to the studio and take more. That's fabulous. Yeah, these are really lovely. This is definitely from the region that we talked about in class. I love the variety. Gosh, I hope that they bring your family joy every time that you use them.
Yeah, and I think this one is the most interesting part because it has a little ring over here, and I think it's supposed to be like movable.
Yeah, it's not attached. That's fun. Yeah, very nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, I'm glad you're in the class. I hope to see you again. And I think we had Sarah hop back on, and maybe that's our last person. If I missed you for some reason, drop your name over in the chat, but I think Sarah is our last person to go.
All right. This, you guys can see this, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is kind of what I'm thinking of trying to do when I get back in the fall. I made my girlfriend come in and help me pour the plaster drape molds and promised her a platter, which she is not getting now. And so I was thinking, after all the lectures on the teapots and everything, I was thinking maybe making a tea set instead, because we're both kind of obsessed with tea, and it just looked like a lot of fun. So for the teapot itself, I kind of really like some of the more like simpler shapes, I think, with kind of the really clean lines. And then just doing the glazes, I do a lot of single line art. So just kind of doing something where I could put, I'm not sure exactly how, but a single line art, draw something on the side and then glaze around it in some fashion. I'm not sure exactly how I do it, but you know, working on that. On the teapot itself, and then for the cups, working again with that kind of, I really have enjoyed the wrapping of like rope around the clay and what kind of that texture of pulling that through. So just doing a couple of little teapots that all are actual teacups that all have kind of that wrapped thing, and then just matching them kind of along color scheme wise with the teapot itself.
Excellent. Well, I'm super glad that you enjoyed the tea lectures. Yeah, come back and let's make pots in the fall. There's a few things about that teapot we'll talk about once you get there. But yeah, line drawings, rope texture, let's see it. So hand building class in the fall would be a perfect place to start this project. So I hope you come back and try it then.
I definitely am hoping, got all my fingers crossed, that we will be back in class by the fall.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, let's just take 1 second to wrap up. I know we're just a couple minutes over, but Sarah, thanks for sharing. I did not see anybody pop up in the chat as if we missed them. So I think everybody's had a chance to talk. I just wanted to say thanks so much for being in this class this semester. It did not exactly work out the way that we thought it was going to, but I really am glad that we got to stick it out together. So I hope that you've enjoyed the second half of the semester, even though it's not exactly what we planned.